season part 2. We are back. If you followed dove season farming part 1, thank you for following along. We're going to do it again this year. If you didn't, feel free to go back and watch it. But the net result of that was we grew some sunflowers, okay, we grew a lot of good millet, but we killed a lot of doves. This year we're doing a little bit different approach. We're actually going to be spraying today, 2 weeks ahead of tilling and planting. Last year we sprayed a month ahead of time, but we're switching up the herbicides a little bit this year. So we're spraying today, we're going to plant in 2 weeks. We're also planting 2 weeks later than we did last year. A lot of birds were in here early August, and we're going to try to stagger that planting a little bit later, so more birds will be here towards the end of August, so we can hunt them September 1 opener. But we're going to be doing a handful of different things this year. We're going to be blending one field with sunflowers and millet. We're going to be planting 2 exclusive sunflower fields. So typically we've rotated them. With the deer eating so many of them last time, we're going to go ahead and plant all 3 of them in sunflowers, and one of the fields we're going to mix it with millet. That way if the deer eat out the sunflowers, the millet will be below it. We can grow it to maturity and then burn it off. So there's going to be a lot of new things this year. We actually acquired a new tractor implement that we're going to be putting to test out here. You can see this field has already been worked a little bit, so we'll look at that a little bit later. So different herbicides, different tillage, different planting techniques, and hopefully it all comes together. But we really appreciate you watching last season if you did. We'll do it again this year. Follow along, more videos to come. So I mentioned we're going to be doing something a little bit different this year. So last year we sprayed 30 days before planting. And that's because we used a product, flumioxin, that had a 30-day setback on sunflowers. Well, I think what we ended up doing is killing off predominantly cool season weeds in March and didn't actually kill the early onset spring and summer weeds. And so I'm kind of switching that up a little bit. We're throwing out the flumioxin, and we're going to go ahead and spray this 2 weeks before planting. But not only are we going to do the burn down, I'm going to go ahead and mix in my pre-emergence as well, the metolachlor and the Spartan Charge, which is the carfentrazone. So I'm going to go ahead and spray the glyphosate to burn the field down, but in with the glyphosate, I'm going to go ahead and mix in my 2 pre-emergents, the metolachlor and the carfentrazone, and then of course a little bit of surfactant, a little bit of nitrogen always helps burn it down. So I'm hoping that we're going to be killing off a lot of these spring and summer weeds out there in addition to the cool season weeds. So I think that's where we made a mistake last year, because we had a lot of grass come on pretty quick for having pre-emergence in those fields. Nice to see you again, my old friend. Been sitting out here since the fall, and I'm hoping this pump is good to go. Sometimes when these electric motors sit up, any water in there at all can freeze and cause problems, or just general corrosion can lock the motor up. So anytime it sits for 5-6 months, you could always have an issue. But let's get it hooked up and see if we're good to go. Well, we're gonna have a mouse clogging our intake if we don't get him out of here. Seems. All right, disaster averted. We're 2 minutes in and already got a problem. I was mentioning when things sit up for the winter, you have a propensity for issue. Well, this end nozzle blew off, and that nozzle was yellow in a field of yellow mustard. So we just spent about 5 minutes looking for it, and thank the good Lord, we found it, but we lost our hose clamp. So Dad's gone to get another hose clamp, but we blew it right off the end. So I just went ahead and tightened all the rest of the fittings to hopefully avoid that from happening again. While we're waiting for Dad to get back with the hose clamp, I was going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing this year. So this big backfield, last year if you recall, we did half of it in Clearfield sunflowers, the other half of it in standard Perdovic sunflowers. This field back here to my left, we did that in German millet. That was our first year doing German millet. We had done some Japanese millet in the past, and then a lot of sorghum, some grain sorghum. and all worked well, but that was the first year we had planted German millet, and certainly the first year we ever burned it. So if you haven't watched the burn video, go watch it. It's pretty cool. We lit the whole field on fire. This field last year was planted in soybeans, and the idea was the soybeans would take pressure off the sunflowers because the deer graze really heavy out here. Well, that didn't work. The deer ate out the entire soybean field and ate out 3/4 of the sunflower field. So this year, instead of planting an alternate crop, we're just going to go ahead and plant in sunflowers. That way, whatever it does make will be beneficial to the doves and not just the deer. So we're going to do all sunflowers and millet in this big field, just sunflowers in the 2 smaller fields, and hopefully have all 3 fields set in something that the doves will like, and have a millet as a backup in case the deer eat all the sunflowers out again. So Dad's behind me. We're going to get this sprayer fixed.
So it's running. All right, how do you see through it?
You don't have to. It's a wide frame. I'm all in it right now.
Oh, okay.
All right, back out here the next morning. It's about 8:30. We're letting this dew burn off. But this upper field that had already been tilled, there's not going to be much dew on it. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this upper field. This is going to be exclusively sunflowers. So I've got the tank loaded up with the metolachlor, the glyphosate, the Spartan Charge, and of course a surfactant. That way we go ahead and burn down what's remaining out here, but go ahead and get that pre-emergent on this exposed soil. We'll come back in here in 2 weeks, seed it, fertilize it, and then lightly turn it under, and we'll be done with this field. Good about that. You got a really nice even herbicide coat on an exposed soil. Not a whole lot of other vegetation out there to compete with, so I think we're going to get a pretty good kill on that, and I really hope to get a better pre-emergent in that field because of the bare dirt already exposed there, getting that pre-emergent right on the soil. So thanks for watching this part 1 of season 2 of the dove farming. Did all the spraying. Next time we'll be planting. We'll see you then.